Welcome back to the deep dive. Grab a butterbeer or a coffee or whatever you need to get through this, because today we are going fully off the map.
Oh, completely.
Usually we are here to make you the smartest person in the room regarding a piece of nonfiction or, a complex news topic. We usually deal in hard fact. But
That's why.
today we are heading into the absolute wilder fringes of fandom lore. We're going back to Hogwarts, but, and I cannot stress this enough, this is not the Hogwarts you remember from the books or the movies.
It definitely isn't. It's a version of the wizarding world that exists in the margins, in the subtext, and occasionally in the deeply over-caffeinated brains of the fan base.
That's a good way to put it.
Specifically, we are looking at a creative session from SuperCarlinBrothers.
All right, the brothers Jay and Ben. Now, for those who don't live on YouTube, these guys are usually the gold standard for meticulous textual analysis. I mean, they're the ones who will count every nut and sickle to figure out how rich Harry actually is.
They really are. They go deep. But in this specific instant, they did an exercise called Theories Out of a Hat.
And the title is literal. They drew bad fan theories.
I mean, really bad.
Theories that initially sound ridiculous, impossible, or just plain stupid, and challenge themselves to defend them.
Yep. They had to use their encyclopedic knowledge of the lore to build a steelman argument for ideas that honestly have no business being true.
It's basically a lawyer defending a guilty client, but the client is a plot.
In a way, yes. But I think it's more than that. I think it's a stress test.
It's stress test.
Yeah. When you take a premise that shouldn't, like Hagrid being a secret bird or Arthur Weasley accidentally creating a dark magical object, and you try to justify it using the text,
Yeah.
you're going to be doing this really intense audit of J.K. Rowling's world building.
Right. You see where the cracks are.
Or you see just how flexible the magic system really is. You find out if you can make a bad theory work, which kind of proves how robust the whole world really is.
So, our mission today is to walk through these specific theories. We aren't just going to list them, we are going to interrogate them.
Absolutely.
We are going to look at the evidence they pulled together, play devil's advocate, and see if we can actually convince ourselves that these seemingly unhinged ideas might just be true. We've got giant genetics, secret lineages, 4D chess romantic machinations, and potentially the darkest magical object in history hiding in a garage.
It's a full-on conspiracy board today. We have a lot to cover. We are going to look at Hagrid's biological nature. Is he a dad? Is he a bird?
Both. Is he a bird dad?
We'll get there. We're also going to examine the tragic secret history of Argus Filch.
Ah, Filch.
And we have a theory about Viktor Krum that redefines his entire role in Goblet of Fire, and a pretty grim medical diagnosis for a Slytherin.
And my personal favorite, the possibility that Arthur Weasley committed the ultimate dark art involving a Ford Anglia.
That one is my favorite.
I am skeptical, to say the least, but I am ready to convinced. Let's start with the big man himself, Rubius Hagrid. The first theory drawn from the hat is a biological curveball that I honestly struggle to wrap my head around.
It's a big one.
The theory is Grawp, the giant we meet in Order of the Phoenix, is not Hagrid's half-brother. He is Hagrid's son.
I know. Just let that sink in for a second. It sounds absurd on the face. So let's ground ourselves in the official narrative first.
Okay, what the book tells us.
Right. In the book, Hagrid tells Harry and Hermione that he found Grawp while on a diplomatic mission to the Giants with Madame Maxime.
Right, trying to get them to join Dumbledore's side.
Exactly. And he says Grawp is his half-brother, implying his mother, the giantess Fridwulfa, had another child with a full giant after she left Hagrid's dad.
Right. Standard tragic backstory. Mom leaves, has another kid. Hagrid rescues the kid from being bullied. It's sad, but it's simple.
It seems simple until you look at the math. The SuperCarlinBrothers argue that the geometry of giants simply doesn't support that story. We need to talk about size ratios.
Okay, let's do the math. Because I always just assumed giants are big, Hagrid is biggish, It was just a general category.
It's more specific than that. And the details matter. So Hagrid is a half-giant. The books describe him as being about 12 feet tall.
Which is huge.
So you and me, 12 feet is a monster. You'd have to duck to get under a streetlight. But in the context of giants, he is tiny.
He's a shrimp.
He's absolutely a shrimp. Full giants in this universe are massive. We were talking 20 to 25. That is a two-story building walking around.
Okay, so the gap between 12 feet and 25 feet is enormous.
More than double. So we have a 12-foot half-giant and 25-foot full giants. Now, enter Grawp.
Enter Grawp, who is being picked on.
Right. When we meet him, he is described as being small for a giant. He is bullied for his size. The other giants pick on him because he's a runt. He is described as being around 16 to 18 feet tall.
So he's bigger than Hagrid, but smaller than the rest of the full-blood giants.
Correct. And this is where the genetic argument kicks in. And it is honestly kind of brilliant.
Okay.
If Grawp was the son of Fridwulfa, a 25-foot giantess, and another full giant, a 25-foot male. Why is he 16 feet tall?
Well, he's a runt. That's the explanation.
But is it? Even a runt usually isn't half the size of the parents. He should be 20 feet, maybe 19 if he's just a little bit small. But 16, that is a massive deviation. It suggests something else is going on with his genetics.
Unless he isn't 100% giant.
Precisely. Let's look at the fractions. This is where it gets good. If Hagrid, who is 50% human, 50% giant,
Okay, 12-footer.
mates with a full giantess, who is 100% giant,
A 25-footer.
the offspring would be 75% giant and 25% human.
3/4 giant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you take the average height, halfway between Hagrid's 12 feet and a full giant's, let's say, 24 feet, just to make the math easy.
That's a 12-foot difference, so half of that is 6. 12 plus 6 is 18.
Roughly 18 feet. Mathematically, Grawp lands exactly in the 3/4 giant percentile. He isn't a runt. He is a mathematical certainty based on a mixed species parent.
Oh my god.
This implies that Grawp isn't Hagrid's brother. He is the result of Hagrid introducing his own small human genetics back into the giant gene pool.
Okay, the math is weirdly compelling. It's a Punnett square nightmare, but it works. I can't argue with the numbers, but here's where I get stuck. The timeline.
Yes.
Hagrid wasn't gone for 20 years. He was gone for a few months on this mission with Madame Mac. You can't produce a 16-foot teenager, not how biology, magic or not.
You would think so. You absolutely would. But the source material gets very creative here. They speculate on the reproductive cycle of giants. We are applying human logic, 9 months gestation, 18 years to reach maturity.
Which seems reasonable.
For human. But these are magical creatures. They are elemental forces of nature. The source posits, what if the giant reproductive cycle is incredibly short?
How short are we talking? Like a dog, a cat?
Shorter. The theory suggests it could be hours.
Hours? You're telling me Hagrid meets a giantess and 9 hours later there's a 16-foot kid? That is horrifyingly efficient.
It is speculative, obviously. There's no text to support it. But look at the context. Hagrid is away with Madame Maxime. They are spending time in the giant colony. The theory suggests that during this diplomatic mission, Hagrid might have fraternized with the locals.
Oh, fraternize.
Or perhaps it happened right at the start of the trip. So by the time he's ready to leave a few months later, there's this rapidly growing child.
I'm struggling with the biology, I won't lie. It's a huge leap of faith. But you mentioned there was behavioral evidence that makes this stronger than just the height chart.
Yes, and I think this is the strongest point. Forget the gestation periods for a second and just look at Grawp's mind. When we meet Grawp in the Forbidden Forest, how does he act?
He acts like a toddler, a giant, destructive toddler. He's ripping up trees because he's bored. He's obsessed with Hermione, calls her Hermie.
He's fascinated by a bicycle bell. A little bell. He struggles to speak basic words. He throws tantrum. Now, if Grawp were, say, a 20-year-old giant who is just short, he would likely have adult intelligence, or at least adult giant intelligence, just in a smaller body.
Right, he'd be able to communicate properly in his own language.
He would be articulate in giant. But Grawp acts infantile. He has the emotional and intellectual maturity of a 2-year-old.
So you're saying he literally is a baby?
Exactly. If you accept the rapid growth theory, his behavior fits perfectly. He isn't a small adult. He is a rapidly growing infant. He was born during the mission, which is why he has no language, no social skills, and the attention span of a gnat.
That changes the entire dynamic of Order of the Phoenix God. It's not about a guy helping his misunderstood brother.
No.
It's a single dad trying to hide his toddler in the woods while working a full-time, very dangerous job.
And think about the awkward conversation with Madame Maxime. They're on this romantic mission, things are going well, and suddenly Hagrid has to explain, Olymp, I have to bring this kid back with us, don't ask.
It explains why she was so mad at him when they got back.
It recontextualizes Hagrid's desperation. He is protecting his child. It explains why he is so irrationally committed to Grawp, despite the danger to the school, despite Umbridge, despite it's parental instinct.
Wow. It makes Hagrid a much more complex figure. He's not just Dumbledore's loyal man. He's a father trying to do right by a kid who doesn't fit in anywhere. I actually kind of love that. It's tragic.
It is deeply tragic.
But if you think that theory requires a leap of faith, this next one requires a broomstick.
Or a lack thereof.
This is the Hagrid complex part. The theory is that Hagrid is an animagus.
Okay. Plausible. Many wizards are.
But not just any animagus. The theory claims Hagrid is a phoenix, and specifically that he might act Fawkes.
I know. Just take...
I am taking a second. Hagrid, the 12-foot half-giant game, is a bird. A magical, immortal firebird. That
is the theory. And it starts with a line from the very first chapter of the first book. Dumbledore tells McGonagall, I would trust Hagrid with my life.
Which is a sweet thing to say about your employee. It shows he trusts.
But the source argues we should take it literally. Who is the one creature that is constantly saving Dumbledore, constantly by his side, virtually immortal, and literally bound to him.
Fawkes the Phoenix.
Fawkes the Phoenix. And what does Harry do in the Chamber of Secrets? He shows tremendous faith in Dumbledore, and that's what summons Fawkes.
Okay.
The source argues for the transitive property. Faith in Dumbledore summons Fawkes. Dumbledore's faith is in Hagrid, therefore Hagrid is Fawkes.
Okay, that's a semantic leap, but let's look at the mechanic. How does a half-giant turn into a bird? And more importantly, why?
Let's start with the physical clues, because there are a few. How does Hagrid arrive in the first book at Privet Drive?
On a flying motorbike. Sirius's old bike.
Right. And what does he say later in the book? He says he's too big for broomsticks and that he cannot fly.
Which makes sense. He's heavy. A broom would snap.
Does it, though? We see dragons fly. We see flying carriages pulled by thestrals. Magic can lift anything. It feels more like an excuse. But phoenixes are known for one specific physical trait regarding lift.
What's that?
They can carry immense loads. We see Fawkes carry Harry, Ron, Ginny, and Gilderoy Lockhart out of the Chamber of Secrets all at once, effortless. That is hundreds and hundreds of pounds of dead weight.
So the argument is that Hagrid can fly, but only when he has feathers.
Exactly. He claims he can't fly as a human to hide the fact that he is the most powerful magical flyer in the cast. It's a cover story.
Okay. What else?
And look at the name. Rubius Hagrid. Rubius comes from the Latin for red.
Like ruby.
Right. What color is a phoenix?
Red and gold. Okay, that's a nominative determinant. Rowling loves those. Remus Lupin is basically named Wolfie Wolf, so Rubius being red tracks. I'll give you that one.
And then there's the wand core. This is a deep cut. This is where it gets really interesting.
Ollivander.
Yep. When Harry buys his wand, Ollivander tells him the core is a phoenix feather. And he mentions that the phoenix who gave that feather only gave one other, the one in Voldemort's. We know the phoenix was Fawkes.
Right, the twin cores. It's huge plot point.
So if Hagrid is Fawkes, then Hagrid was physically present in the wand shop in a metaphysical way. The source suggests Hagrid might have vouched for Harry. The wand chose Harry because the bird Hagrid was right there, signaling this is the good guy, this is the one. It adds a layer of destiny to it.
I'm still stuck on the logistics. Hagrid is in the hut, Fawkes is in the office. They're seen in different places. You can't be in two places at once.
Are they, though? The source challenges you to find a scene where Hagrid and Fawkes are interacting in the same room at the same time in a way that proves they are separate entities.
I can't think of one off the top of my head.
But the best workaround for this is what the source calls the dead rooster scene in Chamber of Secrets.
Oh, please explain this. This sounds amazing.
Okay, so the scene is Hagrid bursts into Dumbledore's office holding a dead rooster. He's all panicked, claiming someone is killing them to prevent the roosters from crowing, which, as we know, is fatal to the basilisk.
Right.
At that exact moment, Fawkes is sitting on his perch, looking sickly and burnt. It's his burning day. He bursts into flame and becomes a pile of ash right in front of Harry.
So, physically, there is no bird, just ash.
Exactly. The source paints this hilarious, farcical picture where Hagrid was in the office as the bird, felt the burning day coming on, burst into flames, quickly transformed back into human Hagrid, grabbed a dead rooster from his giant coat pocket, and was like, "Oh no, Professor, look, dead rooster, it wasn't me. Pay no attention to the smoldering pile of dust over there."
That is a farce. That is a Scooby-Doo villain move. Don't look at the pile of ash, look at this chicken.
It is ridiculous, but it solves the problem of them being in the same room. If Fawkes is ash, he isn't a bird at that moment. It allows for the transformation to happen off-screen, so to speak.
But why? What's the narrative point? Why would Hagrid do this?
Narratively, it's beautiful. Think about it. Hagrid was framed for opening the Chamber of Secrets 50 years ago. He was expelled, his wand was snapped, his entire life was ruined by Tom Riddle.
Right. It's his defining trauma. It's why he's so sensitive about his past.
So having Hagrid, in the form of Fawkes, be the one to fly down into the chamber, blind the basilisk, heal Harry with his tears, and deliver the sorting hat and the sword of Gryffindor.
It's the ultimate redemption.
It is ultimate poetic justice. It means Hagrid finally got to defeat the monster he was blamed for releasing. It closes loop on his story perfectly.
And he's the one who carries Harry's dead body out of the forest in the final book. If he's also the Phoenix, he's been Dumbledore's secret agent protecting Harry in every book, in all the most dangerous moments.
It elevates him from a bumbling, lovable friend to the MVP of the series, the Secret Guardian.
Even if the theory is bonkers, the emotional resonance is undeniable. You're right. It makes you want it to be true.
Exactly. It just feels right somehow.
Yeah. Okay. Let's leave the giants and birds and move to the romance department. This next theory focuses on Viktor Krum.
Ah, Vicky.
Now, usually we see Krum as this stoic, slightly dim jock. He's a prop, he's there to make Ron jealous, and that's about it. But the source suggests Krum wasn't just a prop, he was the puppet master.
This is the ultimate wingman theory, and I love this one. The premise is that Viktor Krum knew Ron liked Hermione and he only asked her to the Yule Ball to force Ron to confront his feeling.
I love this because it gives Krum so much more agency. He's not just a grunting Quidditch player who can't pronounce Hermione's name.
No, he's a master strategist. Think about Krum's introduction. He spends all his time in the library.
Which is weird for a jock stereotype, but okay.
Right. And the book says he's there watching Hermione study. But the source argues if he's watching Hermione, he's also watching the people around Hermione and who is always around her.
The redhead.
He sees Ron Weasley following her around, bickering with her, clearly infatuated but totally paralyzed by teenage fear and insecurity.
Krum is described as having the demeanor of a bird. He's observant. He assesses the tactical situation. He's a seeker. His whole job is to watch.
Exactly. He looks at Ron and thinks, this guy is never going to make a move unless I light a fire on him. The source calls Krum a love expert. He decides to intervene. He asks Hermione out, not necessarily because he's dying to date her, though he clearly respects her intellect.
He does seem to genuinely like her.
He does. But the theory argues his primary motivation is strategic. He knows it will trigger Ron's jealousy in a way nothing else can.
It's a tactical foul. He's disrupting the play to force a reaction from the other team.
And it worked. It works spectacularly. Ron is furious. He's irrational. He ruins the entire night for himself and Padma. He destroys his dress robes, practically.
But it's a slow burn. It's not like Ron asks her out the next day.
No, it takes 3 years, a war, and a Horcrux hunt. But that jealousy is the spark. The Yule Ball is the first time Ron actually realizes, oh, someone else sees her as desirable. A world-famous Quidditch player sees her value. I could lose her. Krum plants that seed.
And the climax of this theory, and this is my favorite visual, is the wedding scene in Deathly Hallows.
Yes, Bill and Fleur's wedding. It's the perfect culmination.
Explain it.
Krum is there as a guest. Harry is disguised as Barney Weasley using Polyjuice Potion. Krum is talking to Barney, and he complains about Hermione being with the redhead, Ron.
Right. He's a little bitter.
But the source speculates that Krum sees through the disguise, or at least he sees the situation clearly. He sees Ron standing guard over Hermione, dancing with her, finally stepping up and being the man she needs.
And Krum's internal monologue isn't, darn, I lost the girl. It's,
you're welcome, mate. I knew it. Mission accomplished.
he takes a victory lap in his head.
He totally does.
Yeah.
It turns him from a rejected suitor into a benevolent matchmaker. He played the villain in their romance so they could be the heroes.
It's the long game. Krum wasn't losing the girl. He was winning the game of love for someone else. A true sportsman.
A true sportsman indeed. I have so much more respect for Krum now.
Me too. Okay, let's pivot to something a bit darker. A lot darker. We are going to talk about Argus Caretaker, the man everyone loves.
Filch.
But this theory makes him perhaps the most tragic figure in the cast. Theory is Argus Filch, Dumbledore.
This one hits hard when you start connecting the dots. It attempts to answer a fundamental question, a huge plot hole. Why is Filch at Hogwarts?
Right. Let's look at the logic. Hogwarts is a magical castle. We know there are spells and things in Skurgify. We see Mrs. Weasley clean Grimmauld Place with a flick of her wand.
And more importantly, we know there are house elves, hundreds of them, who live to clean and are invisible. They do all the cooking, all the laundry.
Yet we have Argus Filch, a squib someone born to magical parents but with zero magic of his own, spending his days manually scrubbing mud, mopping floors, and battling. It is spectacular.
It borders on cruel. Why would Dumbledore, a man who advocates for efficiency and kindness, keep a bitter old man in a job that magic makes obsolete?
It's like hiring a guy to manually copy spread. You have Excel. It's me. Unless it's an epic. Unless you can't fire him.
Because he's femme.
Exactly.
That's the crux of it. The source looks at the lineage. Dumbledore was born around 1881. He's over 115 years old by the time of the series. Filch is old, but clearly younger than Dumbledore. The timeline allows for Dumbledore to have had a relationship, perhaps with a Muggle woman, earlier in his life.
Which would track with his interest in Muggle rights and Muggle culture. And if the mother passed away, given shorter Muggle lifespans, Dumbledore would be left with a son who tragically has no magic.
And that explains the bitterness. Can you imagine being the son of Albus Dumbledore, the most powerful wizard in the century, the man who defeated Grindelwald, the headmaster of Hogwarts, and you can't even cast a scouring charm?
You're stuck in the castle your father runs, cleaning up after children who have the gift you were denied. It explains why Filch hates the student much.
It's pure, uncut envy, compounded by constant daily proximity to greatness.
And it recontextualizes their interactions completely. The source points out how Dumbledore treats Filch. It's not just employer-employee. It's patience. It's humor. It's almost paternal.
There is a specific tone Dumbledore uses.
Yeah.
Mr. Filch has asked me to remind you that the third-floor corridor on the right-hand side is out of bounds. He indulges Filch's petty rules to a point, but he never lets him go too far.
He never lets him actually hang anyone by their thumbs.
Right. The source calls it trolling. but it feels more like parenting a difficult adult child. Dumbledore is humoring him. He knows Filch is miserable, and he's giving him this little domain to rule over to make him feel important. He knows Filch wants to bring back medieval punishments, and Dumbledore is just like, no, Argus, we aren't doing that, but I'll mention the corridor rule again.
Cass.
The consolation prize. Here, son, you can't have a wand, you can't have a dragon, you can't have magic, but here is a very intelligent cat who will be your only friend.
It's a gift to give him some companionship in a world where he doesn't fit in at all.
It creates a really sad parallel. Dumbledore couldn't save his sister Ariana, who is an obscurial magic turned inward, destroying her. And he couldn't give his son magic, so he just keeps him close in the only safe place he knows and gives him a job.
It makes the castle feel much more like a Dumbledore family homestead, with his crazy brother Aberforth down at the pub and his squib son scrubbing the halls.
It definitely softens Dumbledore's image while also complicating it. He's taking care of his own, even if taking care looks like giving them a mop and bucket.
Wow. Okay. Moving on from the staff to the students, we have a medical mystery involving a Slytherin student, Millicent Bulstrode.
Ah, yes, the cat hair incident from Chamber of Secrets.
Right. So, quick recap. Hermione brews Polyjuice potion. She wants to turn into Millicent Bulstrode to spy on. She plucks a hair from Millicent's robes during their duel.
But the transformation goes horribly wrong. She grows fur, a tail, cat eyes, becomes a half-cat hybrid.
And the official story is that the hair wasn't Millicent's, it was her cat. Hermione assumes it was a cat hair.
But this theory challenges that assumption. It suggests the hair was Millicent's human hair. But Millicent Bulstrode is suffering from a condition called a maledictus blood curse.
We need to define maledictus for anyone who hasn't seen Fantastic, because this isn't just an animagus.
No, it's much, much worse. An animagus, like Sirius Black, chooses to turn into a dog. They're in control. They can turn back. A maledictus is a woman who carries a blood curse that is destined to permanently transform her into a beast.
And they can't stop it?
No. The most famous example is Nagini, Voldemort's snake. She started as a woman who could transform at will, but eventually the beast took over permanently. She lost her humanity. It's a progressive, incurable disease.
It's a terminal diagnosis, a ticking clock until you're no...
Exactly. So the theory is that Millicent carries this curse. Her DNA is already partially feline, or maybe fluxing toward a feline form. So when Hermione uses Millicent's hair, the Polyjuice potion doesn't just copy her appearance, it picks up on that cursed genetic marker.
So the potion gets...
It tries to execute a transformation into a human who is simultaneously becoming a beast, and the potion glitch resulting in the hybrid form. It wasn't the wrong hair, it was the right hair from the wrong kind of person.
And the evidence for this is the recovery time. Hermione is in the hospital wing for a month.
Full month. For a simple potion mistake, that seems excessive. Madame Pomfrey can mend broken bones overnight. She can regrow an entire arm's worth of bones in a single night. But this required extensive, complex healing.
It doesn't add.
The source argues that's because she was dealing with the residue of a blood curse, which is dark, complex magic. It's not something a simple counterjinx can fix.
And then there's the clue in Order of the Phoenix. This is the one that gave me chills when I first heard it.
This is a brilliant catch by the source, a really deep lore pull. In Order of the Phoenix, Harry, Ron, and Hermione visit St. Mungo's Hospital to see Arthur Weasley. They end up on the Janus Thickey ward for long-term incurable resident. And while they're there, Harry describes seeing a woman with black fur on her face who was barking or making animal noise.
I remember that. I always just thought it was a random background detail to show how weird magic maladies are. Just world building.
The theory posits that this woman is a relative of Millicent Bulstrode, perhaps her mother or her aunt. She is in the late stages of the maledictus curse, slowly losing her humanity to the beast. It establishes that this specific curse runs in a family that is present in the story.
That makes Millicent's character so much more interesting and so much sadder. We just see her as this brute who puts Hermione in a headlock in Dueling Club. But if she's dealing with the knowledge that she's going to eventually turn into a cat forever...
That's heavy.
That is a 12-year-old girl living with a death. It explains her aggression.
It does. And it also explains why Hermione could be cured. The source draws a parallel to Arthur Weasley again. When Arthur is bitten by Nagini, a maledictus, the venom is incredibly hard to cure because of the dark magic infused, but they do find an antidote.
So it's treatable.
It implies that the effects of maledictus, like the venom or the potion transfer, can be treated, even if the curse itself is terminal for the host. Hermione got a diluted secondhand version of the curse via the potion, so Madame Pomfrey could scrub it clean. Millicent isn't so lucky.
It connects the prequel lore to the main series in a way that actually strengthens the text. It doesn't break its ad. It's brilliant, but it's dark.
It is. It makes the world feel more cohesive and, frankly, a lot scarier.
We have arrived at the final theory, and this one. This one is the most unhinged, yet somehow the most logical.
It's the grand finale.
We are talking about the Weasley family car, the Flying Ford Anglia.
The theory. The Ford Anglia is a Horcrux created by Arthur Weasley.
I can hear the listeners gasping, "Stop!" up. I'm with you on the car being alive. It clearly has a personality. It acts like a dog. But you just dropped the H word. Horcrux.
I did.
That requires supreme evil. That requires murder. Are you seriously sitting there telling me Arthur Weasley, the man who gets excited about spark plugs and rubber ducks, is a murderer?
I know. It sounds like character assassination. It sounds insane. But hear me out. The theory doesn't argue he woke up one day and decided to kill someone to make his car immortal. It argues for a tragic act.
An accident doesn't split a soul, though. Voldemort had to want it. The act has to be intentional to tear your...
Usually, yeah. The magic is in the intent. But the theory suggests that the intensity of the trauma, combined with the intense magic he was performing on the car at the same time, caused an accidental fracture. Let's talk about the accident.
Oh boy. The hang glider. This is a deep cut.
So in Chamber of Secrets, Ron is telling Harry about flying the car to Hogwarts, and he mentions offhand that he almost hit a hang glider on his own broomstick once. This establishes one simple fact. There are muggles using hang gliders over the Ottery St. Catchpole area.
Okay. A throwaway line.
A Chekhov's hang glider, perhaps. The theory suggests that Arthur, while test driving his newly invisible flying car, accidentally hit a hang glider.
Oh no. Vehicular manslaughter in the clouds.
Imagine the scene. Arthur is flying. He's giddy, he's excited. This is the pinnacle of his muggle tinkering life. And then, wham, he hits a muggle, he panics. The classic don't tell your mother instinct kicks in, magnified 1,000 times.
Yeah.
In that moment of intense guilt, trauma, and magical panic, while he is pouring his magic into the car to fix it or hide it or just do something, he accidentally shears off a piece of his soul.
So it's an accidental Horcrux, like Harry was to Voldemort. He becomes a Horcrux without the creator's knowledge.
Exactly. He didn't say the incantation. He didn't perform the ritual. But the emotional violence of the act, even if it was manslaughter, not murder, combined with his intense magical tinkering, infused the car with his essence. It gave it his soul.
That explains why the car acts like Arthur. It's protective of the Weasley kids. It's a bit goofy. It's loyal. It saves the boys from Aragog and the spiders because Arthur would have saved the boys.
The source contrasts it with Voldemort's Horcrux. The locket, the diary, the ring, they are parasitic, they are malevolent, they try to kill you, they drain you. Arthur's Horcrux is helpful because Arthur is a fundamentally good man. His soul fragment isn't evil, it's just him. It's a happy Horcrux.
A happy Horcrux. I never thought I'd hear those two words together. It's like jumbo shrimp. But there is one final piece of evidence that the source claims seals the deal. Arthur's survival in order of...
This is the anchor to life argument, and it is the mic drop for this theory.
So, Arthur is attacked by Nagini while on guard the Ministry. He's bitten multiple times. Rib-crunching bites. He's bleeding out. It's a highly venomous, dark, magic poison. By all accounts, he should have died.
He absolutely should have. It was a brutal attack.
But he pulls through. St. Mungo saves him.
But why? The theory argues he survives because he is anchored to the mortal world. Just like Voldemort couldn't die because his Horcruxes were safe, Arthur Weasley couldn't die because the Ford Anglia was still chugging along in the Forbidden Forest, rust-free and feral, holding a piece of his soul, safe and sound.
That is mind-blowing. It makes the car the most important object in the Weasley family. It's not just a car. It's the thing that kept their dad alive.
It perfectly explains the anomaly of the car's behavior. No other enchanted object, not the Marauder's map, not a flying broomstick, acts like a pet or a friend. The car does, because it has a soul.
So we have covered some serious ground here today. We've turned Hagrid into a secret father. We've turned Viktor Krum into a relationship guru. We've revealed Filch's tragic lineage, diagnosed Millicent Bulstrode with a terminal curse, and indicted Arthur Weasley for vehicular manslaughter and accidental soul...
It is a chaotic mix.
Yeah.
But what I love about this whole exercise, and what the SuperCarlinBrothers demonstrated so well, is that even the bad theory force you to engage with the text more deeply. You have to understand the rules of magic to bend them or break.
It highlights that Rowling's world is so detailed that you can find evidence for almost anything if you look hard enough. Facts like Hagrid's pearly tears or Ron's hang glider comment are just sitting there waiting to be recontextualized into something wild.
Exactly. It reminds us that reading is an active process. The author gives us the dot, but we draw the line. Sometimes those lines create a picture of a giant squid dating the Castor theory for another day.
Please no.
And sometimes they create a tragic backstory for a bitter caretaker or a heroic sacrifice for a family car.
Before we go, I have one final provocative question for you based on that last theory. Something for everyone to chew on.
Let's hear it.
If the Ford Anglia is a Horcrux and it anchors Arthur to life, does that mean Arthur Weasley is technically immortal as long as that car is running?
Oh, wow.
And conversely, if the car ever runs out of gas or rusts out completely or gets crushed by a giant in the forest, is Arthur Weasley suddenly in mortal danger? Is his life force tied to the carburetor of a night dance?
That is a terrifying thought. Somewhere in the Forbidden Forest, a car engine stalled, and Arthur Weasley just clutches his chest at the burrow and collapses. It adds a whole new level of anxiety to the series.
It really does. Listeners, we want to know what you think. Does Hagrid have a secret giant toddler? Is the car a soul vessel, or are these theories just mad? Look at the background of your stories. There might be a deep dive hiding in plain.
Keep questioning the lore. You never know what you'll find.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time.